Joining me now is Philippe Le Corre, a China specialist at the Harvard Kennedy School. Thank you so much for your time. Philippe, this meeting coming, of course, as China has shown off its military potential regarding Taiwan, and the US has imposed trade restrictions designed to hobble China's ability to produce the most advanced computer chips. So is it right to think that our expectations should be low as to what will come out of this meeting?
Well, indeed, the fact the two leaders are meeting after 2 years, or I should say 5 years, because the last time they met, Joe Biden was vice president, is already a good news. The two leaders really have to try to de-escalate the relationship between China and the US, which is really has reached high tensions. I mean, you've mentioned the Taiwan crisis, you mentioned the economic measures and the trade sanctions that are still going on against Chinese tech, particularly. But there are many other issues which they need to discuss as global leaders. And Taiwan should not take all the space for this relationship. This is a world where there are many crises, and indeed, as leaders of the U.S. and China, they need to address global issues, climate change, food issues, global governance, and so on and so forth, and health and public health. These, they are not even able to discuss this at the moment because of the last Taiwan crisis that took place in August. So I think they've addressed each other in very sort of polite and optimistic ways at the start of their conversation just minutes ago. Let's hope it translates into acts.
We've mentioned there the two men certainly know each other. They've known each other for quite some time. So, how much will personal dynamics kick in, do you think, at a meeting like this?
Quite a lot. I mean, it's important for Chinese leaders in particular, because both men were vice presidents, even though, I mean, of course, by far the most important title of Xi Jinping is not president, he's actually Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party. And in fact, he's been re-elected or reappointed just weeks ago. While President Joe Biden, who at the time was vice president, he's now president, and he's somewhat a reinforced president following the midterm elections that took place a few days ago. And he's now got the overall control of the US Senate. So it helps him to define his foreign policy, especially vis-à-vis China. While, of course, Xi Jinping leads a one-man band with the Politburo and the Standing Committee, and people will follow whatever he says when it comes to relations with the rest of the world, particularly a superpower, which is the prime competitor for China today, the United States.
And the Americans will also be watching, along with the rest of the world, to see if Xi Jinping says anything about Russia, I imagine.
Right. So China is neutral, officially neutral, but it's a friendship without limits. So if anybody understands that, it's not a full swing alliance, but it's the friendship without limits. Therefore, the Chinese have been saying they are not responsible for this war. They don't want things to go too far, and particularly they've said, and Xi Jinping in particular said alongside the German Chancellor Scholz a few days ago that he was against the use of nuclear weapons. Well, that's the least they can say. But as far as telling Vladimir Putin to stop attacking Ukraine, I don't think we should hold our breath for this. This is not going to happen because strategically, China needs this tension, if you want. I mean, Russia and China are both revisionist countries of different levels. That's how they are perceived in America, by the way. But I don't think China has any benefit to have a compromise that would help the United States and their allies to get rid of Vladimir Putin, for example. So it's a complicated situation, but at least the Chinese are saying they're not getting in the way of a possible settlement.
Philippe Le Corre, thank you so much for your time.